Yeah.
Hey, it was before it was live. You're good.
Perfect.
Okay, so today we are talking about the Ritz-Carlton and Millennium Partners and the 7-day countdown hotel opening thing. So basically in this, we got, hold on, I have my notes and they ran away. You have James McBride, who is the general manager of this new Ritz-Carlton in Washington, D.C., and you have Brian Collins, who's basically the representative from Millennium Partners, and they're supposed to be working together, but they have different perspectives as to what service means and how things should happen. And after the Washington, D.C. one was, in progress and almost getting ready to open, Brian Collins basically said that he didn't think that the 7-day countdown was enough time to train people, and he wanted everything to get longer training and more training so that they wouldn't have to worry about not opening up at 80% capacity. And McBride doesn't agree with that because that's basically one of the cornerstones of Ritz-Carlton, is that's how they've always done it. That's kind of their process on it. So that's kind of what we're going to be talking about and figuring out. McBride needs to figure out if he's going to basically make concessions and change to how Millennium Partners wants, or if he's going to basically stand his ground and keep everything as Ritz-Carlton talked about. So one of the first things that they wanted us to talk about is a definition for competitive advantage. So I looked that up because it's easier than me remembering everything off the top of my head. And according to the Business Dictionary, it says it's a superiority gained by an organization when it can provide the same value as its competitors, but at a lower price, or it can charge higher prices by providing greater value through differentiation. Competitive advantage results from matching core competencies to the opportunities. So thinking about that, what is the Ritz's competitive advantage?
I would say it's the quality and how they have a standard that's maintained throughout all the hotels, or at least pretty close to a standard maintained throughout all the hotels. One of the big things is the culture of excitement and their low rollover. I know they said the average rollover was 100% at hotels, but for them it was 20%, if I remember right.
Yeah.
Which, that was astronomical to me. I was like, wow, holy crap. I was like, that's probably the biggest impact on their service scores.
Right, because the more you have somebody there, the more consistent you get and the better they can get at it, right?
Yeah, and I think
exactly.
part of it that plays their competitive advantage is they treat their employees really well. Like, they don't treat them like most hotels treat their service people, like their housekeeping and stuff. I liked their motto of "Your ladies and gentlemen serving ladies and gentlemen." You're just as good as the people you're serving. And I think that gives them the advantage of having a lower turnover, but it makes them want to provide better quality service.
Okay, so with this, so from your perspective, what is the Ritz actually selling?
Well, to me, they're selling an experience. The experience being a nice stay at a hotel. Like I said, their core business that kept everything going were the business travelers, but it was the people who would come back. Like, a business traveler would come and then he'd come back with the whole company, or he'd refer the whole company through there, or they'd come as a family when they went through town on vacation. And so for me, it was more of selling an experience, because if you have a good experience, then you're going to want other people to experience it. Just like how in church we always say, hey, if you love the gospel, you'll share the gospel.
I I 100% agree with that. Experience is a good way to put it, because in the article they talked about how they are selling rooms and the restaurant and the bar just by circumstance, like, but they're really selling the service, and you're selling the experience of people having a good time and being happy with their stay, so they want to come back.
Yeah, I liked how they talked about as they got frequent customers, which meant, you stayed there 3 times, they had a file on you. So they knew what you liked, what you needed, and basically they knew what you would be requesting before you even would request it.
Yeah, and I can't remember how many stays it was, but eventually you even get your own embroidery.
Yeah, I think it was 10. Talking while muted, or you guys not hear me? Hey, you're muted, Temple. I saw you mouth crap.
Thanks. Can you hear me now? So I was trying to look up the number of stays, and all it says is after a certain number of visits, because I wanted to know that number too. I was just like, what the heck? You get your own embroidered pillow? That's awesome. Okay, so with this, it asks the question of how does the Ritz create ladies and gentlemen in only 7 days?
There you go. My mouse is a horrible mouse. The thing that I pointed out when I did my case study was pointed out, they said the biggest thing that they have issues when they open a hotel is keeping people entertained from the month of hiring to the month of starting it. And I think that's why they treated it like one big pep rally, like freshman orientation or something like that. I think that's how they do it, is once they get the people excited, involved, and they're all hyped up. And me personally, I always thought that stuff was stupid at a company. I was like, I couldn't care less about your company culture. Just give me my paycheck so I can go home. But I know everybody else really gets into that and buys into it. And once they buy into it, it's kind of like the mom mentality. If everyone around you is buying into it, you're going to buy into it. And so that's how I think they do it, is that they hype it up. And that's why they had literally every person in the company in the hotel greeting the new hires. That way they see that everyone from the top down is way excited about it, can't wait to get going, and just loves talking to people and loves serving the customer. And then it was the Schultz guy, who he used that example of when he was a kid and he thought hotels and guests were like amazing, like gods. And then when he saw the maitre d' speak 3 different languages to him, he realized that the person serving him was just as much, and that's where he did the ladies and gentlemen thing. And so that's how I kind of took it, was that if you see the head of the company do a video on it, come and talk to you for this one hotel, then you're probably going to buy into it a lot quicker than you would if it was just some random recording and then, hey, go have a cheese platter. That's it for today.
Yeah, to me, it seemed like they tried to personalize it to each new hire as much as they could. Like, they did the warm welcome and the farewell every single day they arrived during the 7-day countdown, and they did it each day to each employee, and they got them involved, they got them excited, and they even got it to where Schultz would jump in and show them, and just have the COO jump in and show you how to do something just tells you right there that they're about their employees. You're not just another person on the list for them.
Yeah, I also, when you looked at like the different exhibit 1 through whatevers that they had, there was the exhibit showing how many times they contact somebody after they hire them. And it was a ridiculous number of times that they contacted them from the date of extending the offer to day 1 of training. And for somebody to make sure that you're still doing okay, that to me put a lot of importance on the employees too. Okay, so with regard to this, big question, of course, is should McBride lengthen the amount of time spent training? And not just an answer of, yeah, keep it how it is, or no, it needs to be longer, but kind of the why or why not.
Well, to me, it went back to the fact that, like I said, they got to keep the excitement up, and the reason why the retention stayed so high is because they kept the excitement up. So I feel like if they extended it even more, even though, yeah, you would get more training, it would actually cause a worse retention because you're like, it would be worse in the long run because I don't know about you, but every job you typically learn, like when I got trained, they say 10% you'll learn in training, 90% you'll learn on the job. And so I feel like even if they took like 5 months to train the people, they'd still know pretty much as they do on 7 days. And they'd be just as nervous their first day as if they had worked only one, like the same amount of training either way. At least that's how it's been with every job I've been at. And so I feel that if they extended it, it would have caused it. If they did less of it, then it wouldn't have been enough time to hype it up and have all those seminars and all those big events and all the pep rallies and everything. So, and that's why I think they have full staff as if they're getting 80% rooms, because they know that when they're 50%, it's got a huge learning curve. So it's better to be overstaffed and have a good impression right off the bat and just take that initial manpower cost, knowing that it'll hit 80% because you're doing all those things at the get-go. So me personally, I think I just leave it as is and tell them, like, hey, we're partners, but you hired us because we know what we're doing, so let us do what we're doing first.
Yeah, they are actually, their training program is a worldwide best practice. And I think that right there speaks a lot for itself. And like, it's like Jason said, the pep rallies, getting people excited and keeping them excited is hard. So extending it too long, even a week, might be too much to keep people excited. And again, Jason, but they like run at full staff when they open, even though their rooms aren't full, because they know that they're slower. And they talked about how, yeah, they're not quite quick at every single thing because they're still learning. And so they run at full staff so everybody can continue learning. So it's like they continue their training after they open, but like, so they have a week of training of made up scenarios, and then they get the real life training after it, because they run at full capacity even though their rooms aren't full. So there's still, to me, isn't just a week, it continues on after they open, because they do have that extra time for them to learn.
Sweet. Now, just to kind of play devil's advocate a little bit, because I agree with you guys. I don't think they should change it. And if they're going to change it, I don't think they should change their process on how they open a hotel, but maybe try different time frames of learning curve with hires that are already at established hotels, and kind of do like a focus group pilot program type of a thing. But just to kind of play devil's advocate here, since Millennium Partners provided $700 million to the Ritz-Carlton for this, how much should that $700 million buy in the way of influence to protocols and processes?
Hey, I'm getting a call from Katie. So, hey, Katie. Hey, we're
No,
weird talking to people.
Like,
send Katie the email again. Send Katie. Sorry about that. Hey, you guys there? Or did I freeze? Or did just Leanne freeze?
Hold on. I think Leanne might have frozen. You had cut out for a second, so you're back.
Here.
Yeah, sorry about the mix-up and everything. Yeah, but Katie and Stacy, I mean, Katie called me. Stacy, she messaged saying, I'm not sure. So, not sure if Stacy will be there. But, yeah, sorry for interrupting. But Katie said, Hangouts, and yeah.
Okay, I just sent it to her both ways.
All right. And I say we just carry on.
Okay, straight.
Agreed.
Okay, so we were talking about how much influence their 700 million should be in regard to processes and stuff.
Okay, so we were talking about how much influence their 700 million should be in regard to. So you're talking about the 700 million that they invested into the hotels?
Right, that Millennium Partners invested.
Okay. Well, I think, and see, that's where I said in my case study, I said that McBride should tell them, like, hey, I understand you want to have a say in how it's designed, just like when you're building a house, you want to have a say in how it's designed, but you also don't want to show up and tell them how to do the framing, how to do the electrical, how to do, and that's why I said he should tell them, like, listen, I understand you want to decorate it how you want things to look the certain feel that your company branding has, and you want to be a little bit more customized because you are putting your name on it as well, but like execution that needs to be through a tried process. You hired us, it has to have our name on it too and our quality as well.
Right.
I told him to be a little more blunt with it, my personal one.
Not a problem. Hey, it's Katie!
Oh, it works.
You are out in the bright, bright sun, hun.
Sorry, guys. Yeah, I'm at the lake right now.
Ah.
Out fly fishing.
Okay, so can you hear us, Katie? Okay, because you're kind of quiet.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. So kind of to catch you up, we've talked about the importance of competitive advantage and that Ritz-Carlton is really selling the experience of a wonderful stay, and that's how they kind of build their clientele. We talked about the 7-day countdown and how they create ladies and gentlemen in just 7 days. And then we were talking about if McBride should lengthen the training time or keep it the same, or what they should do in regard to that. So what are your thoughts on that?
I think the 7-day training is actually a great idea, and I really like how they incorporate all aspects of the company. And the only thing I think I would change is them taking 3 to 4 months to get to 80% occupancy. So maybe start that in the first month and just let the employees jump right into it, kind of thing.
Okay, and we had all kind of said we like the 7-day time. In regard to the percentage, we had mentioned how starting at the 50%, that makes it so that there's still that learning curve, so they don't have the customer dissatisfaction. But I think getting up to 80% faster is probably a good idea as well. Okay, so in a company position, how do you know when you are quote unquote there in regard to service, when you're ready to up your percentage of capacity in a hotel, or like I work in a phone call center, and so when to know when to put employees up to a higher number of calls per day or what have you.
Sorry, it was breaking up a little bit. Can you repeat that question?
Yeah, no worries. So basically the question is, how do you know when your company is ready to go from the lower percentage availability to a higher percentage, kind of when to up the bar?
I think one thing is they do a Ritz Carlton did like a 3-week follow up to see how each employee was, but a big important thing is to see how they are feeling about the
I think you froze, Leanne. I hear you.
hear me?
I can hear you again, yeah.
Hear you. It's frozen.
Okay,
Sorry.
you're back. That's
Continue
okay.
on and I will fix it.
Okay, you're good. Anybody else have any thoughts? Okay. I think Leanne was kind of on the right path. They talk about, getting back in touch with the employees. Where I work, what they end up doing is they go through their training and they slowly get them up to 100%, and then they put them in with their units or their groups that they're going to actually be working with after they're in like a safety net type of a thing. And they drop them back down to 50%. And then their individual managers bring them back up as they become more proficient. All right, so does anybody else have any other thoughts in regard to if they should keep the 7 days, if they should change it? It sounds like we all kind of agree with the 7-day countdown is a good thing, just maybe change some of the other capacity stuff.
I agreed. I agree keeping it. I just feel like you should let them know why they do it that way and why it's important. That's why my focus was mainly on just like telling the Collins guy, hey, here's how it is. We still need to keep our name on it. You still need to keep your name on it, but.
Okay, cool. Well, so I looked into it, and it took forever to find some of this research, but I looked in, and as of 2011, Ritz-Carlton still was doing the 7-day countdown to hotel openers. They did not change any of that. And also in like the last 2 or 3 years, a different hotel chain, I can't remember what it's called. I think it was like Hannah or something like that, or Hanha. Anyway, they actually had been buying the Ritz-Carltons that Millennium Partners had invested in out from under Millennium Partners. So basically Millennium Partners is distancing themselves from Ritz-Carlton, but the Ritz-Carltons are still going strong. Any other last thoughts, comments about anything? Okay, I'm going to stop the broadcast. I'll put it onto the link here in like 5 minutes. Go ahead. I thought you were going to say something, Leanne. Sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say, I really liked their program where they help their employees grow within the company. You're not just stuck in the position you were hired in. They help you grow, because some people get hired and they think they're never going to go anywhere, especially in the hotel industry and the service industry. So I thought that was a really great aspect of the Ritz-Carlton.
Yes, because didn't Schultz start at a really low spot too?
I don't remember about like a manager that was. They had like a chef that started as like somewhere in the kitchen or something. I don't remember. But.
Yeah, I thought I remembered something like that. So, okay, well, if everybody's okay with it, I'm going to stop the broadcast and let everybody get back to their fun family stuff that they're doing this week.
Sounds